Howdy everybody, this is John with John's Top 5. And today I'm going to be asking questions regarding that industry that we all love to hate, insurance. Today I have with me one of our local professionals and a good friend of mine, Brandon Walthall. Brandon, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, this is Brandon. I am with Van Dyke Rankin Insurance. I am a local A&M graduate. I've been doing insurance for about 4.5 years now. I'm excited to be here with John and with y'all, and hopefully y'all learn something new about insurance today.
Do I get penalized for being underinsured on my property coverage?
Yes, so one of the things when it comes to insurance is a co-insurance. If you are underinsured, by usually it's 80, a certain amount, you do get penalized for being underinsured on a partial loss. On a full loss, you usually get the check for where the limit is, and then you're good to go. But on a partial loss, yes, if you're underinsured, you can get penalized for being underinsured.
Well, and that penalty is really more along the lines of you just don't have enough coverage. So wouldn't that's really the penalty? It's not like the insurance company says you were underinsured, we're going to slap a penalty on you. Am I thinking correctly?
Yes, it's more of a you get less than what you would have gotten for not having enough coverage.
Okay.
And this kind of came along years ago when a lot of people were underinsuring themselves, and then the insurance company was having issues with that, and so. That's kind of how this got started.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, tell me, some of the terms that we've probably all heard. What are the different actual cash value, replacement cost coverage?
Yes, so replacement cost is the cost to replace it today. Replacement cost is great to have because it's what it costs to replace it today, even though it costs extra $10,000 or $100,000 or whatever. Whereas actual cash value includes depreciation. So if you have a 15-year-old roof and you have to replace it, you got to subtract 15 years of depreciation from what you would have gotten, and that's what you're actually going to get.
Which can be hurtful because if I've got a 30-year roof and it's lived 15 years and it costs $10,000 to replace, I'm only going to get $5,000, and if my deductible is greater than $5,000, I might get $0.
Yes, and at that point, there was no point to claim it.
Sure. Right. And I'm sure in the recent hailstorm, you saw some of that happening.
Yes, so there's been a lot, recently too, we've had a lot of people try to quote that they've had claims that nothing was paid out or only a couple $100 was paid out because they didn't have the damage checked before they made the claim. And so It's important to have the damage checked by a licensed professional before you claim it. So see if it's even worth claiming.
We're going to flip back and forth on auto and home and that kind of stuff. But on my homeowner's policy, are there extra coverages I can get that should be considered?
Yes. So big one is extended replacement of cost. That helps when you have a spike like COVID where everything drastically increased and you weren't really planning on upping your limits. You have some extra limits there. There's stuff like water backup, hidden water damage to help protect from water. That doesn't cover flood. That's a separate policy. And then ordinance and law. If you have to replace fix your house, but now there's new laws and it costs $2-3 grand more now because of those new laws, then that can help cover some of those extra costs.
Interesting.
That is in there.
Is cash covered?
Cash is covered to a very, very small amount.
I was just curious if I had a loss and it was theft and I claimed I had $10,000 worth of cash in the house, there is a limit in the policy.
Yes, there is separate things that have special limits. Jewelry, guns, currency, that kind of stuff has special limits on it, and that's important to make sure you let your agent know that, hey, I have $10,000 worth of jewelry, I have a $10,000 Rolex watch, how do I need to cover this?
Okay. Brandon, I've got a new vehicle, reasonably new vehicle, it's now 3 years old. What should I be considering when getting auto insurance? Limits, coverages, things of that nature.
Yeah, so it's super important nowadays to make sure your limits are high enough. There's a lot of people driving around with state minimum or even a little higher than that, but not really high enough. And that's super kind of scary to know and think about. But it's important that, especially specifically your property damage limit, that's your property damage, that's at least $100,000.
Okay, we've heard these terms, comprehensive and collision. Comprehensive sounds like to me it covers everything, but I don't think it does because collision is separate. So when I think of comprehensive, what should I be thinking about?
That can be a really confusing terminology on the insurance company side. Comprehensive, as John mentioned, does not cover everything. Comprehensive is going to be like theft or vandalism, wind damage or hail damage, whereas collision is you hit something, you backed into a pole, you backed into the side of your house or your garage or something like that. You hit an animal while going down the road. That's going to be collision, whereas everything else falls under your comprehensive.
My car is parked in the garage. I have a fire. My car gets damaged. Is it my auto or is it my home that covers it?
That's a really hard question. That's probably going to be home.
Okay.
More than likely, but that can really depend. It's hard to say exactly.
Okay. With the recent flooding that has occurred, we've had some gully washers. I mean, downpours of rain. What is the definition of flood, and how might that affect me, even if it isn't a huge flood in the area? And then, if there is a huge flood in the area, where do I go to get coverage?
Yeah, so flood is rising water from the outside coming in. So that could be an inch, that could be 3 or 4 inches, or like Harvey, where that was several feet of water.
Yeah, okay.
But that's rising water coming in. So that doesn't mean if a hailstorm comes through and breaks out your window and rainwater comes in, that's a different situation. But if it's like what we've had recently, up in the hills of Texas and that kind of stuff, or like I said, Harvey, then that is flood because that was rising water coming in. That's normally excluded on a homeowner's policy. That takes a separate flood insurance policy.
And is there anything else about the homeowner's policy that you would really like folks to know?
I think it's important when you're comparing your homeowner's policy, when you're getting multiple quotes and you're comparing, if you're just looking at premiums, you could have less premiums, but you also have to compare coverages.
Speaking of deductibles, though, let's say I have that 1% and I've got a $200,000 home, so that's $2,000. And I go up to that 2%, and that's doubling my deductible, 4%, $4,000. How much savings can I get from that increase? I'm taking on a double what my risk was, reducing the exposure to the insurance company, but I also understand premiums are over time. How does that affect my premium?
I will say that you will probably not save enough in the premiums to make up for that difference.
We still want the lowest deductible we can afford.
Yes.
And I want to ask some business owner questions. Yep. I'm a business owner, so I'd like to go into that just a little bit. With business owners, what do most business owners need to consider?
Main thing is general liability insurance. If you don't have anything else and you're a business owner, you need to have general liability. I don't know how many, especially contractors.
Okay, if I have subcontractors. I was a builder or someone like that and had many subcontractors, what would you recommend?
Definitely having a contract in place between the general contractor and the subcontractors.
Brandon, going on with business coverage, what if I had a fleet of vehicles? Do you offer that kind of coverage? What are those kinds of considerations?
Yes, so we do offer commercial auto insurance, and so that's where that would cover the vehicles. If there's equipment that's being on the vehicles that's not attached to the vehicle, then there is a separate coverage to cover that equipment if it gets stolen while on the job site.
All right, last words. One, why do I want to use an insurance agent instead of just going online and in 15 minutes saving 15%?
I think it's important to have an agent. It's kind of like real estate. You could sell your house yourself, but it's going to be more hassle and you're probably not going to make as much. Same thing with us. You could go and get a policy yourself, but you're probably not going to have as much coverage, and your coverage is not going to be as detailed or more than likely the right coverage.
Well, it's important. The reason I like referring a local insurance agent is because I want you to know the local issues, like the having more students increases that underinsured need. I prefer a local agent simply because I want expertise, I want professionalism. I like getting the same person on the telephone. I like being able to know with whom I'm going to speak and get a reasonable answer. And if I disagree, I can say, well, why is that? Here's what I'm reading, and you can explain it to me. Instead of hoping that I've covered myself correctly online, which what I have found with some of my clients, they completely didn't get the coverage they needed. So they ended up wishing they had. No coverage is any good until you use it and find out whether it's really covered or not. And that's where an agent comes in handy.
And going off of the local, we are local. I mean, we are as local as they come. Like the good thing with somebody like having me is if you have an issue and like at a claim or something like that, I'm at my cell phone all the time. You call, you get me, or you get one of our CSRs. There is no 1-800 number that you have to call and deal with the answering phone service. I had a client that had a fire claim. I was there that morning at the site taking pictures to get it to the insurance company. So stuff like that you get with the local guy, whereas you wouldn't get with a big agency at Houston or something like that.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you for joining us with my conversation with Brandon Walthall about insurance. Again, one of those topics that is sometimes so very confusing, frustrating, because we pay the money on a monthly basis, but we don't use it until there's an emergency. So when there's an emergency, emotions are even higher, and we really need, again, a local rep to walk us through those stressful times. Thank you, Brandon, for being with us. I look forward to visiting with all of you on my next interview. Have a great one.